Hi, everyone. Golly, there's me not having my face in there. All right, let's get my face there. How are we, everybody? It is a very interesting night, so let's just jump right into it. Of course, we're going to talk crude. Of course, we're going to chat up crude. We're going to chat up a lot of stuff. So, quick question to the folks. Do we want to quickly look at these lines in the sand? And then we'll jump into the backdrop, what we saw with crypto, what crypto helped us understand about where we're sitting right now, those sorts of things. Or do you want to start by talking about the backdrop and what it is that we need to look out for? So let me know. Hi. Hi, everybody. Hello. You know, my daughter went to Morocco. She loved it. Absolutely loved it. Haven't been there yet, but man, did she loved it. Really, she did. So, all right. So my gut says to start with the backdrop. So let's do that very quickly. So here's what we have. A major geopolitical move all through the world. We initially had Great Britain saying, hey, we didn't have anything to do with this business. So now they've said, hey, you can use our bases to do what it is that you're doing. We still aren't going to help you, but at least you can use our bases. This is very, very important. So here's what happened. We had a coordinated military strike that began on our Friday, their early Saturday. The name of it is Operation Epic Fury. And Iran immediately retaliated, and they targeted Israel, U.S. bases, and the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain, where we have bases. The supreme leader was killed, and then this was confirmed. But what happened in the crypto markets really tells us a little bit about the sense of geopolitical risk that's sitting right now. So, an oil tanker got attacked in the Gulf of Oman. We all know that the Strait of Hormuz is very, very important. And we're probably going to see this stuff rotating through the week. I have no idea when it's going to stop. We hope that it will be quick. What folks are thinking is, hey, listen, you know, the locals are going to rise up, but you know, it's pretty hard to rise up, and most of the time that does not happen. That's not the playbook that occurs. So what we're looking for, of course, is gap down today. What happened, very interestingly, we got to see in the crypto markets, because they don't stop trading. And so when the first attack began, yeah, I see that up there. When the first attack began and we got the news of it, crypto fell about 7%. Bitcoin went to 63,000. It recovered to between 67 and 68,000 after they confirmed the supreme leader was killed. This means, in a sense, that they believe that regime change is going to be not as hard as it could ultimately be. The IRG, I forget the Republican Guard, the Iranian Republican Guard. I think that's what the name of it is. There's news, we don't know if it's true or not, but there's news saying that the senior leaders there want to come together, just lay their arms down for their people, and let's just move on. So, side note, I have a lot of dear Iranian friends, and all of their pictures, they're super excited because that regime has not been kind to a lot of people. And so that seems to be the backdrop there. So what are the implications? We're going to look at Bitcoin. Keep your eyes up staring that down because it is going to be the most active in the space. Oil could move, up over $100 a barrel. Now, you guys know I've been bullish oil for weeks because of all kinds of things, but to include geopolitical risk. The question is, will it hold or will it collapse? We don't quite know about that sort of thing. The biggest big money signals occurred before the weekend. They bought the oil calls on the USO very bigly on Friday. The March 88 call is pretty big. They've got some 100 calls into March and then, some 90 calls into April. The broad market is mixed, and that is the bottom line there. So let's just jump in after I give you these little spaces. Of course, we know geopolitically oil is going to move, but folks, this is only the beginning of the move for oil. When it crashes again, and it will, it'll be time to buy some more. Because contrary to what people are telling us in the broad picture about there being a glut of oil, that is simply not true. It is not. And I don't even know how they get to say that, but this is the storyboard. It is not true. And capacity as well as the ability to build up more oil it's just not there. There's been no capital infrastructure for over a decade. And so as things ramp up, that's going to ramp up. So that's enough of the big, broad sector. Is it true that there are stock exchanges that operate through the weekend? Well, of course, there are stock exchanges that operate through the weekend because Dubai and Saudi Arabia, they work on Sunday. Thank you, Trading Pages. And Ifran Khan, thank you very much. So, yes, of course they do. And it's, it's Monday morning in Japan. So it depends on the weekend. All right. Beautiful harmonic at 63. 63 is a very nice place. Also very sideways, though, in terms of volatility and the like. Okay, so let's take a look at the ES. The put wall is down here at 6,800. So this is going to be the primary motion that we want to stare down. We want to see, do we hold this zone at 67.50 where we see a lot of price action? My thought is savage fade, and then they start climbing back. Simply because that's what we've done every single time. It is. It's what we've done every time. And the narrative is that, don't worry, we'll get it all sorted. Right? I mean, the SPY and the positioning into the weekend was not dramatic. It really was not. So this is what we're looking at between 6,800 and 11, 68.13. Those are the fade action events that will probably bring us into the 4. Let's take a look at the NQ. Let me remove the drawings. Whoa. Okay, so this one, the put wall is at 24,000, and so that's, that's way down here. I wouldn't be surprised if that did that, but, again, it's divine. Not only that, the anthropic Chat GPT business happened on Friday at 5 p.m. Just absolutely bananas, calling Anthropic a supply chain risk from the Department of War. I totally forgot about that business. That happened on Friday afternoon. And so ChatGPT came in there and said, Sam Altman, there's something about him. I think he's an alien. So, just joshing. So what we're looking at is a fade that is likely to bounce, but the big things, what's going to happen with major Anthropic partners like Palantir and the like, right? So that's pretty important. Let's go to oil, and we know gold and silver are going to absolutely go insane. The thing is, you don't want to get all crazy buying everything up for yourself in these spaces. You gotta what? Yes, Sam, there's something about him. I don't know. But, I could say that about a lot of people. I gotta calm down. See, here's the thing for me, folks. My thought is always keep calm and carry on. You just absolutely are not able to function at maximum if your brain is doing something dumb, like being afraid or, being scared about X, Y, or Z. So we see the call wall here is at 68, so it's probably going to blow right through that call wall into the next zone up here at 75. This spike was back in June. This was some kind of, I can't remember what this was. I'll have to go back and take a peek, but that would be the next space. Dips certainly buys, and then, let's take a look at micro gold, because that's just going to be better to trade than gold. And so we see that there's a movement up to 5,600 on the horizon, quite possibly. Very broad price action events from a daily perspective. Traders left the day at 52, maybe 5,300. We're going to start it, who knows? Could be up here, could be anywhere. So let's get into our, let's go crazy. Let's start at a 5-minute. We're gonna go crazy. Let's start at 5-minute. All right, so we got this here. We're gonna look at a couple of 5-minute charts, and we're gonna watch them go through the triggers. Don't think these are, let's change this to ES, and then, oh, for heaven's sakes, I don't want them linked. All right, we'll just have to walk through them one by one. Okay, so here we are in the 5-minute. I don't know if anybody noticed, but I will put it in the Topstep room, in the Coach Anne-Marie station, channel, whatever it's called. I'm going to show you how many sell orders went off into the close on Friday, and price action still kept running to the north. Okay, we're down at 68.25. Here we are. Oh, look at that. Came right into our 68.13 on the nose. Look at that. You gotta love technical analysis. Absolutely fantastic. All right, so let's see where the NQ came in. Hello. Whoa. Missed it. So let's see where that daily chart, why the traders opened up at that 24,000 area. Oh, all right, heavy congestion, right? Tons of accumulation over the prior days, support zones. Yeah, okay, so that's going to be the line in the sand for us, folks. Watch that low in this opening candlestick. If it breaks below, we're going to trend lower. No doubt about it. Let's take a look at oil. Really, what we want to do, folks, is deep breath and chill. You do not want to expose yourself to massive risk. Ruh-roh. My chart's not... here we go. Fabulous. Huh. Where is Earl? Good buddy Earl. I don't see any printing there. Anybody have a price on oil? Let's look at gold. Oh, for goodness sakes. Yep, not too bad. 5,400. That's our breakaway formation. Let's see where our Fibonacci is. Wow, we are, let's go back to our daily. Right in the middle of the range, take a look. That is the open and close of the dates around, what is that date? January 29. Okay, so as it sits, 1,313, that's a very interesting buy. 1,313 at 68.20 went off at 1,600 hours and 0.00069 seconds. And we've got 500 lots. So this is a lot of volume, friends, for this time of day. A whole lot of volume at this time of day. Super interesting. They're trying to hold the floor. 6811, we know this number, right? As a matter of fact, we should probably shift it to 6811, and that gives us our floor. Now, traders are going to be fighting here. Why? The dome is really thin. Relatively speaking, it's not that bad. These big, gigantic orders came in right off the lows. So here's what I would do. My thought would be, let's see it drop and then recover. Right? We want to see it lose 11 and then take 11 back. That would give us a very nice buy point. But as I see it, that's exactly what they're doing anyway. Let's see if we can have a limit order. See how they're battling right at the open? Let's put a limit order out here for 13. See if it comes to us. Right? That'll be my first one. 11 to 08. It could be the 20 holds because that's where those beasts were. And really, if you're staring down the chart and you're saying to yourself, all right, I want to see what happens here, above this 5-minute candlestick formation, if it breaks out above 68.30, I mean, you got some stuff going on. But this is a lot of size coming in this early in the day. So they're buying the dip. So maybe I will too. let's try and get an open here. I'm going to buy it at the open, right? See if it comes in. Of course, I'll be pretty miffed because 31 is going to be that buy zone. But let's see if it fills this. That'll be the first one. Okay, let's see if oil is actually printing here. Oh, finally. Look at that. Came right into our 75 zone. Yeah. So what's the moral of this story? Who wants to say? Come on. Who wants to say the moral of the story here? Look at the dailies. Look at the dailies. Let's go to Bitcoin. Let's go to Bitcoin, see what it's doing. Bitcoin's going to tell us a lot about the storyboard and risk. Now, for many of you, you know that I use Bitcoin as my liquidity event. I look at it, all of its structures tell me about price action and overall liquidity. I'll be doggone if that buy didn't leave me in the dust. Ah, crud sickles. It's all right. It's okay. I'll watch it come back. See what gives. But yeah, so what are we seeing? We're seeing markets recover. If you're staring down price action right here, you're in a dip buying zone. So we can see micro Bitcoin still looks pretty awful if you ask me, right? I mean, this is downward pressure, downward formation, momentum indicator flat and underneath the 50 line. It looks pretty wretched. So I don't want to trade that. If it bounces, I'll sell it. If it bounces in the 70, I'll sell it. Okay, so let's go to the NQ. Let's take a look at the NQ, and somebody said this to me last Sunday. Oh, this is gapping. This is a blue candle because it's gapping down from this one. That's not how these candles are supposed to print. They're supposed to print from the open, irrespective of the prior candlestick. So I find this to be very weird, and I need to remember to send a question to support, have them look at this. Okay, so what's it doing? This one's recovering. It's holding this edge. Look, old resistance, new support. Someone said, hey, it's kind of thin. It is thin, but I mean, these are prices maybe they didn't think they'd get in the near term. People are still pretty bullish. Everyone is thinking to themselves, I must buy the dip. I must buy the dip. It is the most important thing to do. And it's been good to us in hindsight, but I think it's pretty dangerous to buy the dip at this structure. Can we please look at CL? Sure. Okay, so what are we thinking here? Now remember, folks, you don't want to be a mouse here just looking around for a piece of cheese, okay? Fortune favors the bold, but only if they have a lot of money and they can handle a downturn. So let me explain to you why it is that I believe that oil is going to fade. Take a look. We are measuring risk. We're measuring risk. What have the traders told us about risk on the dip? What have they said? They've said, hey, hang on a second. I think we might be okay. I think this is not craziness in general. So here's what I want to tell you about history. Because Asia Minor and North Africa sit in spaces of extreme conflict all the time, The market gets the wiggles for about 15 minutes, and then they shake it off and they move ahead. So all of this, you know what? It makes for great eyeballs. It does. All of this, are we going to have a world war and blah, 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 blah. No, it just is not the case. I don't want to chase this. I don't. But the market is being very clear at this time. It is telling us, hey, we priced enough risk in here. Let's go ahead and buy. And that is going to make oil fall. So don't go out saying oil to the moon, friends. That's not what the rest of the market is telling you. Okay? Now, the question then becomes, where's the risk? Where's the risk? And that is something that I say very few prop traders, very few traders in general, but an extremely small number of prop traders in this kind of environment understand the kind of risk that we're facing right here at this ledge. At any moment, in any time, we could have a news drop and this could rocket all the way up to 80. At any time, in any place, they could come back and say, hey, everything's stable. And you'll think it's going to go up, and it'll crash and pull itself to the ground. So what does this tell you? If you're staring this sort of thing down, I mean, this looks like regular morning. Yes, the dome is thin, but it's way thicker than the dome normally is in general. So my only thing, I would entirely disagree with you about going long being the current risk. Maybe going long oil, but not going long the index at a proper support, right? So listen, everybody's got their ideas. Everybody's got their narrative. Everybody does. But the fact of the matter is, if you choose to engage in the market at this time, in this space, you better be quick or you're going to be dead. It's as simple as that. So let's talk about price action and what's going on in gold right here. Inside candlestick formation. Here's our first 5-minute pressure event. This is going to manage probably the next few hours. The second 5-minute candle has approximately half the range of the first 5-minute candle, and this third 5-minute candle is even tighter. What's it telling you? They're digesting the move. And if you're looking at a chart and saying, what are they doing? You can tell that these inside candlestick formations are saying to them, hey, let me digest what's going on. Here's something else that big money does. Big money tests the waters. They say, oh, looks like they're buying a dip. Well, let's see how far they'll buy that dip up. Let's see how far they'll buy it up. Right now, let's talk about the very beginning here. Okay, 1,829 contracts went off at 68.20. That's our biggest formation there so far. 1,235 of them were bullish in that motion right there. They were either buying or selling at 68.20. 1,235 out of 1,829 were net bullish. And then after that, we have 6824, 1,186 contracts, 1,032 of them net bullish. They're coming right down to retest it, 6824. Another reason you don't want to chase, right? But this area here, as it comes down, I'm going to let this fill at 6819, and I'll give it a little room. I don't want to double up. Well, then leave, my friend. You know what's really amazing to me? People pop into channels and say dreadful things, really. And the question is, are you a masochist, or are you just plain stupid and you don't know how to change channels, right? Or here's a good one. This happens a lot, especially with people that are younger, although it happens with older people too, I have to say. There's some sort of badge in the world today that says, if I can be the absolute rudest person on the planet, I'm going to win my badge for the day. If you're into that, knock yourself out. It used to worry me when I was 10. Now I'm like, then leave, buddy, unless you're, stupid enough to hurt your own ears listening to me. So, I shouldn't be, I know, I'm not supposed to be staring down the chat and chatting about it, but I did. I lost my mind. Sorry. So thank you for those of you that do come and follow, and I love you. I do. And I love the markets. They make me, they're the most exciting thing that you could possibly do. Very much. So exciting. So I missed my buy, and I found it. See, here's one thing that I can share with you. When you look at level 2 data and time and sales data, very important. It will help you if you're interested in seeing, okay, who's trying to put up a fight. And what we saw this morning or this evening is, yes, down at 6820, everybody sort of said, okay, a bunch of us are long there, but everybody came into that 6824 and they bought it up again. Now, it happens to be right near the VWAP. So the question would be, do we expect to come back into 6819 or 6820? And I'm going to say yes. So I'm not going to move my buy zone up. Thank you so much, trading pages. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. It is my joy to share the markets and to bring them in spaces where people can go, what does that even mean? And I'm able to share it. So let's see if we can get some setups into the NQ. So we've broken out. NQ looks much more bullish than the ES. Yes? So if per happenstance, what are we staring down? You know what? Let me go to a 1,000 tick chart and see if it's telling me something. So here's my 1,000 tick. I'm above my VWAP. My momentum is very negative. And of course, it's working off all of this selling right here. It's working off all of the selling there. But it is holding a higher low right here. So you might say, I see that that's negative right there. Let's see if we can buy the pullback. Now you might go, oh, good grief, Anne-Marie. I got to wait 70 points for my trade. Yeah, I'm going to say you might have to. Now, you could, let's see where the next, take a look at this. This is our typical past is prologue kind of information where we look at the recent past and it gives us a line in the sand that the traders are fighting against. They get above there, looks pretty good, but they have to build structure here. So what does that mean? You hear us talking about it a lot. What's it mean to build structure? Structure is a space where buyers come in and they go, you can't go lower. But sellers come in and say, you can't go higher. And so what they're trying to do here is fight in that tiny space. Now, you know I like talking about inventory. And so oh man. So let's look at inventory. We got a big box. Gonna put that right there. Got a big box. That's the halfway point. So my thought is everybody's a little nervous. They want price action to move back up, but they're not really willing to put their necks out. So they're saying to themselves, you know what? Let's dance around here. Let's see if we can tease them into coming back. So let me open up my NQ chart and let me see what the buying looks like. Okay, so the NQ chart is very thin. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's gappy. It looks awful. I don't want to trade there. I don't want to trade there at all. That is just horrific. That's horrific looking. Okay, not doing it. Let's go to micro Bitcoin, see if we can find ourselves something interesting. So here we are. Listen, we know that there's a liquidity event going in bigger pictures. We can measure that by Bitcoin because it is the most risk sensitive instrument, and it is very related to liquidity. It's very related to liquidity. And so as we stare it down, the goal is, well, that is very thin also. So the goal is, can we hold a low of 65, or do we head down here to 64/63? You know, my thought is, if you're looking for something and you're saying, hey, could I get that pretty cheap? I'm going to leave these on for the overnight and see if it'll pull back and give me what I want. Right, I've got my brackets on. I don't really have anything to worry about. If you say, Marie, I want to trade now. Well, take a look at what this is. This is all of the pricing from last week. Tell me, are the traders moving up or down? And the answer to that is yes. They're moving up and they're moving down. So let's take a look at momentum. Down here, what's momentum doing? Is it moving up? Is it moving down? Well, it's kind of moving up, but it's sitting in very negative territory. So if you're staring this down and you're saying to yourself, okay, what's the real trade for me? I would sell a couple of them up here, and maybe I will sell at the last known resistance zone at around 66. Could it easily recover? It could, but my stop is going to be at about 67 because I don't think the price action is going to do much more from that perspective. Okay, let's take a look again at oil. See how it peaked? Look what's happening. Very interesting. Oil peaked at 78.46 October 24. Do we hit that price on yesterday's event? I don't know on yesterday's event because it's already happened and now we're seeing aftermath. And when we got that big spike, it was as it was happening. And so I would say eventually it's getting there. But we might have seen our top for now. So here's another really great measurement you can use when you've got a massive opening candlestick like this. You look at the 50% rule. If you pull back 50% of that area and hold it as your buy zone, your price action is going to try and move higher into this region. What I seem to see at this juncture is everybody saying, oh, nobody's acting all crazy. We're just kind of chilling. No, let's just chill out and see who comes in. Let's figure out who comes in Asia. Who comes in, and again, they are holding this 68.24. Let's rush in.
Order filled.
That's, fools rush in. But let's rush in there and see, because my time and sales, as well as my depth of market, telling me that the traders are saying, hey, you know what? Coming into that region around 68.24, listen, I have a lot of balance in the space. So I'm okay losing 3, 4,
Order filled.
500 here. Whoa. They went right to that 68.20 where the great big order was. And now they're going to have to lift. It's a do or die for them. And I certainly, wow, that was pretty ugly. Let's see. This is your basic scary trade, I think. Just coming in and seeing where the great big money sat up and moved themselves into play, and now moving it up the edge. Yeah, slow markets haven't been slow in, a while, to be honest. So let's see what happens here. We've got 600, and I don't want it to retest. I don't want it to retest 68.20. If it does, it's going to be a problem. This is a reason why level 2 matters. If you say, hey, I'm taking a trade relative to level 2, and 68.20 and 68.24 are sitting there, then you've got a reason to make a move, right? Now, do I love what is happening here? No. I want the traders to respond immediately to this price point. They're not. And so what it tells me is that they're shaking the tree just a little bit more, which I don't like. I want it to respond immediately. Let me move to a 500 tick and see if I can see anything else holding that position up. $68.24 is what they need to get up and above. Right now, 1,450 contracts cleared at 6,824. 1,000 of them were bullish. You don't really want to see price action look like that when you got a long, right? So this stops me out. I'll be pretty miffed. But again, the number one thing when you get into a trade, you say to yourself, self, am I going to be able to recover if I have a losing trade of $625? And the answer is yes, for me. If you're trading an MES or something like that, and you have a small account and you're looking at your prices to hold, you know what? You can't do that. It's not good for you, right? It's going to come right back. So here's a great storyboard for us. When you take a dip buy like this up on a ledge,
order filled,
coming into a region, and it doesn't immediately respond, it's never good. You want it to respond immediately. And what it's very likely to do is shake the tree here in terms of all of that motion. They just come in and shake it off. Still, let's see where we are now. 2,000 contracts traded, 1242. So not only maybe 100 more contracts bullish than in times past. So that is not a particularly bullish sign in my mind. It's not particularly bullish. You like the ES below 6,700 for a long? Yes, that was me getting the order filled. Let's take a look at, yeah, I don't want to trade that. The dome is way too thin. Let's see what's going on with oil. Yeah, that's also very thin. 73, we've got 116 contracts waiting up there to sell at 73. Let's see if they absorb that from a price perspective. All right. 5-minute candles on. Do they though? Compared to the first one? If I take a look at the first 5-minute candlestick, compared to the others, it doesn't really look bullish. It really doesn't. So let's see how we would measure that. The 50% range for that candlestick is 73.63. And there are 115 contracts waiting to sell at $73. So let's see if we absorb that. I suspect, I don't know that they'll get there. I really don't. And we're under the VWAP. So they don't look very bullish to me. They look like they're trying to do something, but in essence, I'm making lower highs and lower lows. Yeah, you know, I would look at NQ, but the dome is so thin that I don't want to trade it. It's just too thin. Let's go to gold. Here they are coming down, trying to hold the frame. Listen, if this loses, we're going to test 68.11 again. Very interesting. And if it continues to fade, Oil might continue to bounce. Let's take a look at gold. All right. Gold showing risk on, but still inside of that 5-minute candlestick. This is fairly interesting, right? The 5-minute candlestick here. Let's take a look at silver. Okay, broke the edge of that 5-minute, but still not above this space. The traders are digesting the motion. They are digesting it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Why did I long equities after the evening news? That's a good question. My thought was that with the gap down and the very big orders that came in at the open, some very big orders came in at the open. Some 500 lots, 1,300 lot, couple of sellings, but my thought was that it was going to bring buyers to the mix. That's a valid question. Why did you do that is a very valid question. The better question to follow that up would be, if I were being, hitting myself between the eyes, I would say, okay, you know the structure's bearish. Why take 2 ES in the trade? And really, I was trying to take one of them off, so I would only have 1 ES, but the price action moved so far so fast that I immediately got filled on 2. So, but these are good questions. You have to ask, hey, why'd you do that? That seems like it's a dumb idea. And after the fact, you can go, yeah, that's a pretty dumb idea to go long right there. I just expected price to hold. So that brings up the next question about how do we learn to trade in the market? Here are the things that we must first do. 1, we establish risk thresholds. Okay, I can't lose more than this. I can't lose more than that. And I need to pay attention to where price action tells me you better get out of Dodge. Okay? And so that's the first thing. The second thing is be calm approaching the markets. Today, I was super excited to get to the market open because I'm like, wow, all of this stuff is happening. Let's see what they're doing with price, because I'm a market junkie and I just love watching how people are sort of moving their pieces on the chessboard in something big like this, because there are trillions of dollars at stake at any one period of time. So I like that. But our goal is always manage risk. Number 1, manage risk. And 2, know when your idea is going to be wrong. So for me, because I saw that huge number come in at 68.20, my thought is, I can't be long if price action's under 68.20, and so it gave me my stop at 68.1950. I can never be right every time, but what I can be is measured about where I'm wrong and understand that if I take the trade, even if I've been thinking about it and I think I've got all of these reasons of why I'm right, it might not work out. And you know what? Too bad, so sad. Let's move on to the next trade. This is very important for your mindset. If you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I got to make XYZ, and you jump into the market and you experience loss after loss, even if it's small, but you're desperately wanting to win, your brain starts to fill with cortisol and doubt and fear, those emotions that really are just basic chemistry. Great for you, Rexer. That's awesome. Thanks, David. I'll write that down. Thanks. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So yeah, in the grand fashion, everybody wins and loses. We know this. It's a part of the game. Sometimes we win at a great amount, and sometimes we lose at our max risk thresholds for a day, a week, or whatever. Super important that your brain does not focus on, hey, I've got to make X, or hey, this trade's got to work. If your brain starts doing that stuff, I'm telling you, it is a one-way ticket to, what was that place in It's Wonderful Life? Pottersville? I seem to lose more than most at the moment. You know, everybody has those cycles. It's how you manage yourself during the cycle and then what happens after the fact. Some days I get up, I simply cannot read the market. I'm like, what the heck is happening here? For me, that's pretty important. If I can't see what's happening, if I can't sit and tell myself that story that says, hey, what's going on, it's going to be harder. It's going to be harder. So that, just settle yourself out. Realize right here, it's extremely volatile. Now, somebody might say, hey, you know, I could trade a 2-minute chart. Listen, you could, but you're going to use a lot of mental energy. And wow, that's pretty bearish. Even after this drop, it's still not lifting. And so, you know, could you say, hey, I'm going to trade a 2-minute? That's perfectly fine. But if big money is trading, you know, whatever, they're trading something bigger and they're waiting for size to move in some form or fashion, you're going to get caught getting chopped up. You're really going to get caught. And so the question is, do you want to get caught being chopped up? Or do you just want to wait for price action to give you what it is that works for you? So what I am seeing right now is an inventory box where traders are saying, listen, I don't want to pay any more than 68.38. And I don't want to buy it any cheaper than 68.14, because if I do, I don't know if there's a floor. So for me, with a flat VWAP and a momentum indicator like this, I would be trading that range. My initial thought of, hey, why don't we sit at that 68.20 and move along and see how they hold, is still a fairly valid one. What you have to have is room to be wrong. And so if you go to an MES, which is very thin at the moment, but if you go to an MES and you go, hey, if I'm staring this down and I'm looking for price action to move, you could easily say, okay, let me see if I can buy 2 of those down there. And you leave your risk way down here at 68.04. I don't really like trading the micros. One, they're very expensive to trade, and trading my accounts personally, I don't really like to give up commissions. I just don't. I'm not a big fan of giving up commissions. So, that being said, we could stare this down. This is still negative. VWAP is flat. Traders are going to sit around in here for hours, in my mind. I do. I think they're going to sit around here for hours. All right, let's do a wrap, go through what we need to. Does anyone sidelines for me? I agree, Man Cave. I totally agree. I totally agree. How do we avoid that mindset? Do we mean which mindset? MW057, which mindset do you mean? Which mindset? Help me, because, you know, I can't remember what I said 5 minutes ago, much less everything else. So, these guys are also sitting in. I would expect this to range much faster. Do you know what I'm saying? I would expect these guys to either fall much more quickly or rise to the top. I find this to be very interesting. Gold is shiny today. You know, gold's always shiny. Let's take a look. Let's see if we can do something here. Yeah, gold's going to be shiny. It's going to be shiny for a while, but it's also going to be pretty volatile. Look at this. Do you see this right here? There's little to no inventory sitting in that space. And so it is very likely a place that traders will try to fill in. That being said, if it gets above this 54 and some change, the first pullback is going to be the buy zone, in my mind. How are you able to do fib retracements? So you want to choose the second one down that says trend line tool. No, sorry. You want to choose the third one down, and it says Gann and Fibonacci tools. And then you just choose fib retracement, and that's what you use. What is this volume indicator? This is the volume profile that's on the visible range. VPVR. I like to give it 100 rows, 70% up, 70% down. The value area is 70%. So we know that they've accumulated inventory all the way here. Let me teach you a little secret about the measured moves for inventory accumulation through a range of motion. So let's use, what do we want to use? Let's use 3 days. Let's go to 2,000 ticks. And let's use, how many days do we want to use? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's use 4 days. So you can see the traders were pretty much sitting at the high level here. They were saying to themselves, hey, I don't really want to pay any more than that. And the low level, it's a little mixed, but you don't want to count these guys because they just came out and then rolled right back in. These two groups work very nicely together. So what you can do is draw that box and then clone it and then move it upside. And it usually tells you the next line in the sand. And lo and behold, here we are above that area. So you can clone it again and take it up to the north one more time, and it gives you these higher motions that you can see in your chart. Now, if you're a purist, like if Robert was on here with me, well, I love Robert, he's one of my favorite guys. If he were looking at me, he would go, wow, I don't like that. That's not exact enough. Why don't you just use a Fibonacci and do the peak to trough? And of course, that's entirely valid. Third one down, choose your Fibonacci, go from high to low across the range. It tells you basically where the traders have moved up to, but it's giving us a target region of around $5,430. Let's see if we get there, right? It seems pretty reasonable that we get up into that area, and I think that would be like a brand new high. We're going to see a lot of price action start running tomorrow, about 6 o'clock. Things are really going to get punchy, really going to get punchy. Watch your midnight candle in the NQ. Watch your 4 a.m. candle in the ES. Yes, I find measured moves to be so fabulous. I use them all the time in any environment. I will use them in little tiny places like this where I want to buy a breakout, or great big motions that go for weeks and weeks. They work very well, and it tells you that the market is generally organized. So, all right. Anybody else have it? I will never trade an index again. Only gold. Good for you. You find what works for you and just do it. That's true. Here's the thing, Charles. Charles says, hey, 70 is a round number. Value area is one standard deviation, and that's 68. Well, it's actually 68.3 if you want to get persnickety. But in general, I like to use the simple numbers, that round numbers where you go, hey, I'm just drawing it with a big fat crayon. I'm not looking for some kind of pencil. So, yeah. 12 a.m. candle, yes, 12 a.m. candle from 12 to 12:30 in the NQs and 4 a.m. in the ES. Watch those candlesticks. They're going to be important. Well, Tehran is the places where they have facilities, and I believe that's in the south of the city, because I have some friends up north and they are safe. Everything seems to be, normal up there, but yeah. Hey, if I bought a combine at $89 and the rebuild date is this Friday, do I get the $89 price I paid before, or do I have to pay the increased price? Discover your voice. Short answer is I don't know. But if you ask Wendy, the AI there, they'll know. And they'll tell you. Why does Topstep ban gold and silver? Everybody's managing risk. And again, this is a thing. I'll leave it with this. I don't want to get on a giant soapbox. But prop traders, particularly in these funded spaces.
Order filled.
Ooh, yes, here comes my MES. We'll see how it does. Prop traders in this space don't understand the measure of risk. Oh, thanks, Bruno. If your bill was old price, you'll be rebilled at the old price. Great. All right. Okay, everybody, listen, take care. Watch your risk. Be careful. be careful and know that I'll be hanging out trading here and finding some fun things to do. I am Ray. I didn't want to say I told you so. Listen, you can say I told you so all you want. I know it's always terrible when it says order filled and it's not you. That makes me laugh so hard. It really does. So take care. I appreciate you saying that that you are enjoying the space and learning. It means so much to me. I do trade pre-market. I like trading pre-market. I like trading aftermarket. I like trading. My goal is, can I find a price that's worth my setup? All right, everybody, I'll see you later. Remember, all of the coaches have our coaching events that sit inside of TopstepX in group coaching. Come in there, have fun. Not TopstepX, Topstep Discord, excuse me. Topstep Discord. We have tons of fun. Pop in. I'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Good luck.